COVID-19 Watch Weekend. Review ng mga kaganapan sa nakaraang linggo, mga kwento ng paglilingkod at kabayanihan, mga paraan kung paano makakatulong. COVID-19 Watch Weekend.
Magandang araw kaagapay, ito po si Heidi Bernardo Sampang. Welcome sa isa na namang edisyon ng COVID-19 Watch Weekend. Ihahatid po namin sa inyo maya-maya ang mga balitang may kinalaman sa COVID-19. Makakasama rin natin ang Frontliner of the Week na ipakikilala ni Joy Kawayan Combatier sa South Cotabato. Maririnig din po natin sa ating palatuntunan ang kwento ng inspirasyon ng mga Filipino nurses sa Amerika sa panahon ng pandemya mula sa American Broadcasting Corporation. Sasamahan din po tayo ni FEBC President Dan Andrew Cura sa napapanahong pagbubulay sa salita ng Diyos ngayong panahon ng krisis.
COVID-19 Watch.
Sa susunod na mga linggo ay handa na para sa US authorization at distribution ang bakuna laban sa COVID-19 ng mga kumpanyang Pfizer at Moderna Incorporated. Ayon kay US Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar, agad na gagawin ang distribution ng bakuna sa loob ng 24 oras sa sandaling matanggap na ang regulatory authorization nito. Sinabi pa ni Azar na ligtas at highly effective ang dalawang bakuna at sa mga susunod na linggo ay inaasahan na i-issuehan na ito ng otorisasyon ng Food and Drug Administration para maipamahagi na at magamit. Sa pagtatapos ng taon, inaasahan na aabot sa 40 million doses ng dalawang bakuna ang magiging available na. 2 shots ang kailangan sa loob ng 4 na linggo para sa pagiging epektibo ng bakuna. Una nang sinabi ng mga opisyal sa US na kapwa mayroong 95% na effectivity rate ang dalawang bakuna. Muling tiniyak ng Department of Health o DOH na ang lahat ng COVID-19 potential vaccines na papasok sa Pilipinas ay dadaan sa mahigpit at masusing regulatory process para matiyak na ligtas at mabisa ito. Ayon kay Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, ang lahat ng bakunang papasok sa bansa ay kailangang dumaan sa evaluation. Nakiusap si Vergere sa publiko na magtiwala sa proseso ng pamahalaan hinggil sa COVID-19 vaccines. Kaugnay nito, sinabi ni Vergere na ang American biotech company na Moderna ay walang planong magsagawa ng clinical trial sa Pilipinas para sa kanilang COVID-19 vaccine. Ngunit nilinaw niya na nais ng Moderna na pumasok sa vaccine procurement. Iginiit naman ng DOH na nais nila sa Moderna na magsagawa ng trial sa bansa para malaman kung epektibo ang kanilang candidate vaccine. Patuloy namang nire-review ang application ng Sinovac Biotech ng China para sa pagsagawa ng clinical trials sa Pilipinas. Sa iba pang balita, inihayag ng Department of Trade and Industry o DTI na 5% na lamang sa mga negosyong naapektuhan ng pandemya ang nananatiling sarado at pawang mga maliliit na negosyo. Ngunit ayon kay Finance Committee Chairman Senator Sonny Angara, ang 95% ng mga negosyong nakapagbukas na ay hindi pa nakakabalik sa full operations bilang pag-iingat sa COVID-19. Bukod dito ay hindi pa rin aniya bumabalik ang kumpiyansa ng publiko o mga consumers sa mga negosyo sa retail, transportation at turismo. Sa pagtalakay ng Senado sa mahigit 22 bilyong pisong proposed 2021 budget ng DTI, ay lumitaw na nasa 1.42 million ang rehistradong negosyo sa buong bansa at 99.6% nito ay micro, small at medium enterprises. Tinutulungan naman ng DTI ang maliliit na negosyo sa pamamagitan ng pagpapautang ng Small Business Corporation na isang government-owned and controlled corporation sa ilalim ng DTI. Ayon pa sa DTI, umabot na sa 8 bilyong piso ang nailabas ng Department of Budget and Management para sa pagpapautang sa MSMEs. Ngayon naman sa COVID-19 Watch Weekend, narito ang ating Frontliner of the Week. Ipapakilala ni Joy Kawayan Combatier. Ang guest nating frontliner ay si R.D. Gangoso, Medical Technologist sa DOH Region 12 at isang Public Health Associate sa Integrated Provincial Health Office sa South Cotabato.
Malaki ang papel na ginagampanan ng mga medical technologist sa bawat ospital, lalong-lalo na ngayong nahaharap tayo sa pandemya. Sila ang nangangasiwa sa mga laboratory test at inaanalisa ang mga specimen na kinukuha sa mga pasyente na nangangailangan ng masusing pag-iingat upang magkaroon ng tamang diagnosis. Isa sa mga trabaho ng ating Frontliner of the Week na si R.D. Gangoso, Public Health Associate ng DOH-12 na na-assign sa Integrated Provincial Health Office South Cotabato, ay ang pagtanggap ng mga specimen at paghahanda sa mga ito upang ihatid sa COVID laboratory. Ayon kay RD, isa sa mga magandang development sa ngayon ay ang kooperasyon ng mga komunidad na nagpapagaan sa kanilang trabaho.
Currently, it's very stable naman with the will to help of others dito sa community. So the people now want to help us. They have information na and they know what to do with the information. So if they see cases, they try to help us as much as possible. So I think that what makes our job a little bit easier.
Ibinahagi ni RD kung paano niya tinanggap ang mga hamong dala ng pandemya at kung paano niya ito tiningnan na may positibong perspektibo.
It's a challenge but a good one. Challenging myself to push myself to the limits. Always thinking, what can I do more? What can I do more for the community? What can I do more for my family? What can I do more for myself? Because very limited yung ating galaw ngayon. So I try to do my best to improve myself in work, in family relationships. Because of this pandemic, I've seen a lot of characteristics that I have that I've never seen I had before.
Sa gitna ng mga nararanasang stress, naging inspirasyon ni RD ang determinasyon ng kanyang mga kasamahang frontliner na naging hamon sa kanya upang maging matatag.
Lahat naman siguro na stress at first because this pandemic was all new to us. We didn't know the extent, but quickly, in my work, they manage a very good system, so it's not that stressful. The stress that I just experienced is that yung nasanay ka after work, you mingle, you enjoy, you have fun, but now you're very careful, you're very aware of your surroundings. It's not the same as before because I moved out of my home to stay in a dorm, and that made me sad just a few weeks. Pero I've seen the people here in my workplace, they're very focused in their work and they're very goal-oriented, and that made me push myself a little bit out of that comfort zone.
Napagtanto ni RD na may mga magandang resulta ang kasalukuyang mga nangyayari kung saan nadiskubre nito sa sarili na siya pala ay may kakayanan na gawin ang mga bagay na dati ay iniaasa niya lamang sa iba at mas pinahalagahan nito ngayon ang mga dapat bigyan ng importansya.
For me, I did not know I was this well-driven when needed. Also, I realized na I'm a little more affectionate compared to before because before you always see your family, you always see your sisters, your siblings, but now when I see them, I really like to hug them because of the distance. And also, I realized that I've really taken care of my health more din.
Ibinahagi rin ni RD ang mga aral na kanyang natutunan sa gitna ng mga hamong dala ng pandemya.
One lesson I learned is that if you feel like you can't do it, just try to do it first. Then you'll be surprised. And one lesson that I've learned is never take time for granted, especially now. So enjoy the moment, live at the moment, and help yourself, help others.
May mensahe ang ating Frontliner of the Week sa mga kasamahang medical technologist at iba pang frontliner.
So my fellow medtechs, these are trying times, these are challenging times, and these are hard times. But I pray and I hope that everyone can have some sort of peace in their minds also let us push ourselves to work for the community, the people of our country, our friends, and our family. Helping people will help you also. There's no reward greater than helping somebody.
Sa huli, may paalala si RD sa publiko kung paano natin matulungan ang ating mga frontliner, kalakip ang panalangin para sa bawat isa.
Let us observe proper health protocols. Let us wear our masks and wear our face shield, and also observe social distancing. And also, I hope everybody has a healthy mindset and a good and peaceful mindset. It will really help this pandemic. Treasure the moment more. Treasure the things that you have now, and treasure your family and your friends. And I hope that everyone listening is healthy, happy, and that they are very contented, and that there is no harm that will come to them.
Ang kahinahunan at pagiging kontento ay nag-uugat sa pusong nagtitiwala ng lubos sa Panginoon. Paalala nga sa atin ng unang Timoteo 6:6. Ang kabanalan na may kasiyahan ay malaking kapakinabangan. Para sa COVID-19 Watch Weekend, ako po si Joy Kawayan Combatier.
Maraming salamat, Miss Joy, mula sa Cotabato. Samantala, patuloy po ang aming paanyaya sa inyo kaagapay para maging kabahagi ng ating ginagawa dito sa FEBC Ministry. Patuloy po ang aming pagtanggap ng anumang suportang pinansyal na nais po ninyong iparating para po sa ating gawain. Pumunta lamang sa webpage na donatenow.febc.ph, donatenow.febc.ph, o tumawag sa 0947-333-5605, 0947-333-5605, or sa landline na 8650-0855, 8650-0855 para sa detalye. Pwede nyo rin po kaming i-PM sa ating mga social media pages para po mapadalhan namin kayo ng QR code, kasi pwede na rin pong mag-donate sa FEBC sa pamamagitan ng GCash.
COVID-19 Watch Weekend.
Nagpapatuloy po ang COVID Watch Weekend. This time, makikinig tayo ng isang kwento. Kwento po ito ng mga Filipino-American nurses sa Amerika. Ito po ay mga nag-migrate mula sa Pilipinas at nagtatrabaho sa Amerika bilang mga nurse. Alam po naman ninyo, ang mga nurse na Pinoy ay talagang in demand kahit saan sa mundo. Pero sa Amerika po, ay 500,000 plus ang immigrant registered nurse population. Talagang napaka halaga ng kanilang ginagawa, lalo na sa laban kontra COVID-19. At bago pa man dumating ang pandemya nitong March, ay talagang nasa alanganing lugar na, krisis na ang tinatawag na kondisyon ng mga Filipino-American nurses doon sa Amerika. Pakinggan po natin ang kwento nila. In particular, ang kwento ng isa sa kanila na sana'y magsilbing inspirasyon sa ating lahat. Mula ito sa ABC News Network sa Amerika.
8 months into the pandemic, California is the second state to hit 1 million COVID cases. Pockets of LA once again in crisis mode. For Aquilina Soriano Versosa, the stakes have never been higher.
Thank you so much. We had one couple where it's 16 people living in a house. One couple came down positive. So then it started to expose the whole house.
She heads up the Filipino Workers Center, and right now, she says she's not just delivering food, she's saving lives.
This pandemic has really shone a light on the inequities that exist in our community.
Thank you so much.
Even before the pandemic, a lot of our community was already in crisis, dealing with poverty, dealing with crowded housing conditions, and bad working conditions.
In the heart of LA, in what's known as Filipino Town, this group is a lifeline to the community here as COVID-19 cases continue to climb. In California, 1 in every 5 nurses is of Filipino descent. Nationally, 4% of registered nurses are Filipino American, but account for nearly a third of the COVID deaths, the largest non-white ethnic group amongst nurses to die of COVID-19. When a wave of COVID hit Florida this summer, 32-year-old nurse Rhea Mora found herself fighting in the thick of the battle.
Why do you think so many of your fellow nurses in the hospital are Filipinos?
I think because it's part of our culture. We love caring.
It wasn't long before the mother of 2 was diagnosed with COVID-19. 4 days later, her husband Joe also tested positive. Rhea recovered, but Joe took a turn for the worse, placed on a ventilator.
Rhea, what was it like being in the hospital, knowing your husband was somewhere as a patient and hearing the code blues go off?
A lot of my patients, most of them went to ICU and then later on died. So I was really scared.
And Joe, I know this in many ways was the battle of your life. What memories do you have of that battle?
I didn't want to sleep. I was scared that if I closed my eyes that I wouldn't have the strength that I needed to continue breathing.
After a grueling, nearly month-long battle with the virus, Joe was finally able to return home.
What was that first kiss like for you when you got reunited?
It was the best reunion.
Oh, my first kiss after 24 days.
I realized how important my family is and how much should I spend time with my family.
I understand that a lot of your nurses were also Filipinos.
Yes, that's true. Really, during that time, I relied on the machines that kept my organs going and the nurses that kept giving me care throughout the day and night.
It's not a coincidence there are so many Filipino Americans in nursing. It's a legacy that can be traced back through American history. The Philippines was one of the very few countries the U.S. ever colonized.
One of the things that the United States wanted to do was to sort of create a cheap, Anglophone, accessible, and mobile labor force in their new colony, to train them in specific vocations that were not necessarily useful to Filipinos in the Philippines, but were useful to Americans, and specifically the U.S. military.
Professor Adrian De Leon, who studies Filipino-American history at USC, says America tapped into this cheap labor pipeline in the 60s when the U.S. suffered a nursing shortage. Filipino nurses were recruited and brought to the mainland. Over 150,000 Filipino nurses have since migrated to the U.S.
There's a thing in Tagalog called utang na loob, which means debt from within. It translates into debt coming from a good conscience, which is the sort of debt that you want to have to sort of repay, you know, your family or someone who had cared for you, to make sure that they're cared back in turn.
And now, Filipino-American healthcare workers are disproportionately caught in the crosshairs of a raging pandemic, praised as heroes, but thrust onto the front lines of a deadly battle. Among them, Erwin Lembrento. He was a doctor in the Philippines. But after falling in love with Aurora, his college sweetheart, a respiratory therapist herself, he immigrated to the U.S. following her and his love of medicine.
Dad was very hardworking. He came here and worked his way up to have like a good life with us here.
What do you think made him a good husband and a good father?
I mean, I couldn't ask for more. Whatever you needed, I mean, he would try to give it to you. Kind of like, I don't have to beg him to get me this or get me that or do this or do that.
Fair to say he was the love of your life?
Of course, yeah.
His other love? Nursing. He truly loved being an ER nurse for more than 20 years. But Elmhurst Hospital in Queens, his hospital, overnight became known as the epicenter of the epicenter.
He was still going to work. We were telling him, like, why don't you take a break or take a vacation or something? And he said, no, are you kidding me? I have a lot of coworkers who are quarantined right now and they had COVID, so he really had to go.
He felt a sense of duty.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. That's what he says.
Edward Bonilla is an EMT, a first responder who says Erwin was the one everyone looked up to in the ER. But he was also the life of the party.
He actually was known the DJ of Elmhurst. He always logged into his music accounts and he would always play music. That was his thing. No one would touch that.
You two were like the Batman and Robin of the ER.
Correct. he will be the first person that patient sees besides me.
When you saw him heading towards your patient, what went through your mind?
What better person for this patient to receive care from? He's always going to treat the patient the same way he treats everyone, compassion.
Like so many Filipino Americans, Erwin's home was intergenerational, living with his grown kids and their grandparents.
COVID came and he realized that there were a lot of COVID patients already, so he decided right there and then to bring his parents to New Jersey where his sister lives.
He saved their lives.
I would say that, yeah. Then that's how his mother is really, really very, very, she couldn't take it because that was the last time they spoke to him. That was it.
At the end of March, as cases peaked in New York, Erwin came down with a fever. His family had to beg him to go to the hospital. So you took care of him?
Yeah, just bring him food. He said, I think my oxygen level is very low, which was 90. And I said, that's not normal. I told him, can you go to your hospital now? I said, no, I'm okay, I'm okay.
Within a month, he was gone.
I say, why? It's why did you leave me? Something like that. I wasn't really prepared for this because to be honest, I depended on him on almost everything.
How big a hole has this left in your world?
Oh my God, what a hole! It's a big hole. I don't know. I'm still picking up the pieces.
His colleagues, those frontline workers, paying their respects with lights and sirens.
Then they were all in front of the hospital. They said it's like a 21 gun salute force. Yeah. So, and I saw it on the news in the Philippines.
Perfect. 3 long months after his death, his wife Aurora and daughter Kara are finally putting Erwin's ashes to rest.
He can finally rest in peace. I was saying okay, we can finally put you in your resting place forever.
Erwin's legacy, first and foremost, a loving family man, a dedicated caregiver. But his family hopes that his death, like so many Filipino-American healthcare workers, will not go unnoticed.
I wish people would see that all these numbers, that these statistics, there are human lives to them. They are someone's father, someone's mother, his sister, someone's significant other. But I don't want people to forget the humanity behind those statistics.
Ang kwentong yan ay courtesy ng ABC News Network at yan ay kwento ng kabayanihan ng ating mga kababayang immigrant na sa Amerika bilang mga registered nurses, Filipino-American nurses. Ang kanilang komunidad sana'y maging inspirasyon sa ating lahat. Kayo po nakikinig, nanonood sa COVID Watch Weekend.
Bukod po sa pandemyang COVID-19, may iba ring malalang suliranin na panlipunan sa mundo ngayon. Ito po yung gutom. Gaano nga ba kalaganap ang kagutuman at bakit tinawag itong permanent pandemic? Alamin natin yan at pag-isipan ang sinasabi ng Biblia tungkol dito. Kasama ang Pangulo ng FEBC Philippines, Dan Andrew Cura.
Habang patuloy na nananalasa ang pandemya ng COVID-19 sa mundo, lumulutang na naman ang marami pang ibang mga hamon sa lipunan. Pangunahin dito ay ang gutom na minsan nang nabansagang permanenteng pandemya. Ayon sa pananaliksik ng Oxfam na may pamagat na The Hunger Virus, lalong pinalalalim ng COVID-19 ang krisis ng gutom sa mundo at lumilikha ito ng bagong tinatawag na hunger hotspots. Tinatayang sa pagtatapos ng taong ito, aabot sa 12,000 katao ang mamamatay araw-araw sa gutom bunsod ng COVID-19. Mas marami pa kaysa sa bilang ng mamamatay dahil sa sakit na COVID-19 mismo. Gaano kalala ang gutom sa mundo? Ayon sa United Nations Food and Agriculture Authority o FAO, nasa 815 milyong katao o 11% ang populasyon ng buong mundo ang nakararanas ng malalang undernourishment sa taong 2016. Dito sa Pilipinas, inilunsad kamakailan lamang ng gobyerno ang isang inisyatibong tinatawag na Pilipinas Kontra Gutom. Nananawagan ang pamahalaan ng tulong mula sa iba't ibang sektor para magbayanihan tungo sa target na zero hunger sa taong 2030. Isa ito sa mga Sustainable Development Goals o SDG ng United Nations. Maraming hinaharap na hamon ang proyektong ito, tulad ng mga kalamidad at pandemya, mataas na presyo ng pagkain, at makalumang sistema ng paghahatid ng mga produkto mula sa bukid patungo sa merkado. Maaaring hindi malaki ang maiaambag natin tungo sa pagpipigil ng gutom sa ating mundo. Ngunit ang nagtutulak sa atin para gumawa ng kahit na maliit na hakbang ay ang pag-ibig sa Diyos at ang pag-ibig sa kapwa-tao. Narito po ang ilang maaari nating pag-isipan at gawin. Una, mag-donate ng pagkain sa mga organisasyong tulad ng PhilRads na namamahagi ng relief pack sa mga biktima ng bagyo sa Kabikulan at sa Cagayan Valley. Pangalawa, magbigay ng tulong pinansyal sa mga NGOs o non-government organizations at sa mga social fund ng ating mga simbahan. Pangatlo, sumuporta sa maliit na negosyong nahihirapang bumangon ngayon. Ika nga, bumili tayo sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino na negosyante. Pang-apat, maglaan tayo ng panahon para sa relief distribution sa mga grupong tulad ng World Vision at Operation Blessing. Pang-lima, maging tinig ng mga nangangailangan at nagugutom, labanan ang mga patakarang hindi makatarungan at mapang-api sa mahihirap tulad ng pahayag ni Propetang Isaias. Nakakaawa kayong mga gumagawa ng mga di makatarungang kautusan na umaapi sa mga mahihirap kong mamamayan at nagkakait ng katarungan sa kanila. Sa pamamagitan ng mga kautosang iyon, kinukuha ninyo ang mga ari-arian ng mga byuda at ng mga ulila. Isaias, Kabanatang 10, talatang 1-2. Pang-anim, makilahok. Maging bahagi kahit sa maliit na paraan sa Pilipinas Kontra Gutom, lahat kasali, lahat kasalo. At pang-pito, at ang pinakamahalaga, ay maging tapat na patotoo. Kumikilos ang Diyos tungo sa buo at tunay na kagalingan na higit pa sa pinangangarap natin pagkatapos ng pandemyang ito. Maging ilaw tayong aakay sa mga tao tungo sa tunay na pag-asa. Kasama sa patotoong ito ang pagiging seryoso sa pagtupad sa mga panuntunan para sa kapakanan at kaligtasan ng lahat. Ang kagalingang mararanas natin ngayon ay kaloob ng Diyos, ay tulad din ng kagalingang darating. Dapat ninyong paliwanagin ang inyong ilaw sa harap ng mga tao upang makita nila ang inyong mabubuting gawa at purihin ang inyong Ama na nasa langit. Ngayon, habang lumalakad tayo sa pananampalataya kay Kristo, lumalago din tayo sa pagsunod sa kanyang mga yapak at sa pagsali sa kanyang ginagawa sa mundo para sa mga mahihirap. Darating na ako, sabi ni Yahweh, upang saklolohan ang mga inaapi. Sa pinag-uusig na walang magkukupkop, hangad nilang tulong ay ipagkakaloob. Awit 12, talatang 5. Alalahanin natin ang pagmamahal ng Diyos sa mga maralita ay hindi nangangahulugang tanggap niya ang kanilang karalitaan. Layunin ng pag-ibig niya na iligtas mula sa kanilang sitwasyon tulad ng kanyang pangako sa awit 132, talatang 15. Ang mga mamamayan niyang dukha ay bubusugin ko ng pagkain. Ngayon, panahon na upang kumilos. Ito naman ang panawagan ni Apostol Juan sa ating lahat. Kung mayroon man sa atin na nasa mabuting pamumuhay at nakikita ang isang kapatid na nangangailangan ngunit hindi naman niya ito tinutulungan, masasabi ba nating sumasa kanya ang pag-ibig ng Diyos? Mga anak, huwag tayong magmahalan sa salita lang kung hindi ipakita natin sa gawa na tunay tayong nagmamahalan. Unang Juan, Kabanatang 3, talatang 17-8. Ama naming Diyos, maraming salamat po sapagkat marami sa amin ay pinagpala mo. Ngunit Panginoon, sa likod noon ay hindi kami kumikilos at kami tumutulong lamang sa mga kauri namin o sa mga kaibigan namin. Patawarin niyo kami, O Diyos, at mangyaring ngayon ay kami mamulat na marami pang nagugutom sa aming daigdig ngayon, lalo pat bunsod ng COVID-19 pandemic. Mangyaring kami ay tumugon, anuman ang aming level ng pagpapala na natanggap sa iyo, mangyaring ipasa namin ito sa mga taong lalo pang nangangailangan sa amin. Mangyaring ipamalas namin ang pag-ibig mo sa tunay na pamamaraan. Ito ang aming dalangin sa ngalan ni Jesus. Amen.
Dito po muling nagtatapos ang COVID-19 Watch Weekend para sa linggong ito. Mag-ingat ka kaagapay at hanggang sa susunod na Sabado, sana po ay magkarinigan at magkasama tayo same time, same station dito po sa inyong FEBC Radio TV. Sa pangalan ng buong pangkat ng COVID-19 Watch Weekend, ako po ang inyong nakasama, Heidi Bernardo Sampang, nagpapaalala, basta't laging handa at sama-sama sa kanyang lakas, kaya natin to.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon tungkol sa mga balita at impormasyon o katanungan tungkol sa pag-aaral na inyong napakinggan, mag-message sa Facebook page ng FEBC Radio o tumawag sa 8654-1234. Ang COVID Watch Weekend ay naririnig sa mga himpilan ng FEBC Philippines at sa mobile app na FEBC PH Stream.